Welcome to this special episode of Enlightened Masculinity. Who knows, maybe this will be a more recurring time slot because Dragon's Lair, which is the daily membership program, it's an entry-level program with the Rosh Bar. I get it. That's on the camera. There's like a little blemish right there. I can't wipe that off. I tried. Is 10 a.m. every day. It's been 10 a.m. every day since almost 2 years. Yeah, almost 2 years. June 2020, sometime around that. And even before then, maybe a few weeks. There was Love Spell before that, and that was like fragmented. That was the members program. And then it turned into Lion's Den, and it just renamed itself to, or it was renamed to Brotherhood of the Beast, and then Dragon's Lair, and that's where we're at now. And so for about 2 years, 365 days a year. So that's like 700 episodes. There was maybe one or two or three that were canceled because of, emergency or a meditation training that was known about ahead of time, but only like 3 or 4 days total in those years. So that's basically 700 days in a row, 10 a.m. Today marks the first day that on the schedule in 2 years is not a class at 10 a.m. Seems like a perfectly smart time slot to do my podcast, right? There's some consistency going on here. I used to wrestle. Wrestling practice took place at 3 p.m. every day. When I was done with wrestling, let's say, because wrestling is not done, it still goes on. But when I was done with wrestling at 3 p.m. every day, I felt, there's like momentum in my nervous system, like something's about to happen. Something's supposed to be happening right now. Have all this restless energy. It was a habit. So 10 a.m. every day or every Saturday. I think that's a wise idea. We'll be doing a show. And now it's public right now. Maybe I should do a silent flute lecture. I already do a silent flute lecture on Mondays at 4 p.m. And those are pretty powerful. The podcast is very powerful, but the silent flute, I take personal interest in the people. I take interest here also. It's just different. Maybe I haven't made it enough different for people to see and value the difference. And that's why the members is like stayed at like 9 or 10 people for like ever. And it's the same people. And I guess I could promote it more too. I do promote Yoga for Sorcery. This isn't a podcast about pitching myself, by the way, but it's just, coming to reality with everyone. This is my yoga YouTube. I haven't streamed to my yoga YouTube in a minute. Hello, namaste, Chris. I've missed your live vids. Very helpful stuff. Right on. That's a better comment. Not like Edmund Quell, who is, a sad, sad man. That's very sad of him, As I handle quote haters, I see more where I'm throwing derogatory terms and I'm throwing insult, not as an accurate label of what they're doing, but as a way to jab at them or repel them or anger them or somehow get the energy out of it. There's a difference. I don't mind using any term. I'll use any term on a person if it accurately describes. And it may sound nerdy or whatever that it accurately describes. And I can't, but there's much more piercing potency when your insult to somebody is an accurate label of what they're doing. Asshole, like if they're an asshole. Bitch, if she's a bitch, like you're not allowed to use those words. Those words exist by God's decree. God created them. There's nothing that God did not create, and those words are equally God. And he didn't put them there so that you don't use them, so that you ignore his creation. He didn't make a mistake, or she, or whatever the fuck you believe in. It didn't make a mistake creating those words and concepts, and many more to come. We're still so primitive in our language. What, thousands of years of evolution? What do we got? In another million years, we'll be speaking, we'll be talking, and things will be levitating and teleporting. Like our words will stop heartbeats and explode things. We'll be superhuman. Or we'll be dead, or whatever. But like right now we talk a little bit and a bridge gets built. We talk a little bit and a city gets built. We talk a little bit and a spaceship got built and we went to the moon. In the future, we keep accumulating all this language and understanding and talking, and we're going to be doing everything that you can imagine eventually, give it enough time. Or we die, or we'll be killed off, and something else will do it. Because if it's imaginable, it's possible. And if it's possible, then it's just a matter of time before the bridge of logic is built to that destination. Yes, type of question. I don't quite get yoga. Can you explain why yoga is important in a spiritual sense? What I can learn, experience, and develop through yoga, and what's the difference between types of yoga? It's a very big question. I think the silent flute is a great place to answer that. And I would have a lot to say on it. I would say that there's distinguished physical yoga from mental practices of yoga, and there's different lineages of both. And most, when you get into it at the highest levels, they'll say that both become both, that the mental yoga, there is a posture of that. And they may even say that posture is more related to a spiritual posture, a mental posture, internal posture, rather than an external posture. And then all the physical practitioners will also say at a high level that this becomes mental yoga. And it depends on, lineage teacher, you could say. Does that teacher have a teacher that they claim to, be their main teacher? And that's a lineage. So it would be too much to describe the different types of yoga. I mean, if you want an overview of like physical types of yoga, I have a recording for that in the silent flute. That's been obviously a question asked before. What I can learn, experience, and develop through yoga, that's wonderful. That's everything. And more specifically, it opens you up to learn everything. You don't necessarily learn how to play the violin by doing yoga, but it opens up your nervous system to be more receptive and more flexible, meaning not just flexible like body mobility, but flexible in doing new things, appreciating new things. You're more flexible in your ear, in your taste, in your sight, to see or feel or experience new things. And it just breaks patterns. That's what the yoga, the breathing and the posture practice does, is it just like breaks your patterns. And of course you don't get yoga because you're not doing it, I can tell. Can you explain why yoga is important in a spiritual sense? It's not, other than it's a very healthy thing for your body, but that's not necessarily spiritual. Spiritual is like your intention, what you do, and your awareness of what, it's an awareness thing. So it's very, very, very powerful as a spiritual practice. But if you do it wrong, then it's not. It's how you do it. So, where are you learning how to do it? From my channel? Why am I just meeting you just now? So you should get on the silent flute so that I can coach you actually. Or get on Yoga for Sorcery because that has all the physical practices. So that's the difference. Silent flute is a mindset program. It has a ton of recordings that I slowly release. I'm looking at selling my Wim Hof folder, actually, because Wim Hof seems to be some of the most popular videos. And I have a way of doing it. I'm not the Iceman. He's a superhero. I'm not certified in Wim Hof, so I'm not going to really blow up that I'm selling the product. I'm going to sell it internally to my people. And anybody that's got a problem with that can fuck off. Because I did it for years every morning. And I have enough other breathing training and yoga training. I have a unique thing to say about it. Plus mindset and the linguistics, like language is very powerful. I want to go into that because that's the name of this show. The show is Enlightened Masculinity, but the episode is the subtle language of haters and dabblers. That's this episode. If you're on Instagram or you're on YouTube, you should be on the Zoom. I don't know why you're not on the Zoom. Sometimes the YouTube stream gets cut out. Why are you hanging out over there? Click the link that I posted. Maybe I can pin it. Yeah, I didn't pin it. Here we go. Pinned. If you're on Instagram, go to the link in my bio, unless you're a chick. If you're a chick, you got to stay on Instagram for this one. It's just what it is. You know what? It's not, actually. Well, I get it. If you're a chick, you could be on the Zoom. You just can't go to my Telegram. And you can while I'm doing this, and then I'll just remove you later. So why? Because it's a group of all of my best, closest guys, and I don't want you interacting with my guys. I don't have a woman's enlightened masculinity Telegram group for obvious reasons. Women's enlightened masculinity, what are they gonna? So unfortunately, they may not be able to, the women, they may not be able to see all the times that I go live, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. That's fine. So the subtle language of haters. I think I answered your question, Nikki. Oh, Nikki's a chick. Oh, you're a dude. Ha, gotcha. I thought first I saw Nick, and I thought that's so funny. I'm sure you get teased about that. You might think about changing your name. Just even not on government ID, you can stay Nikki, but you might go by Nick because that's just more mature. And if you were a billion trillionaire like Elon Musk, you wouldn't be Elani. That feminizes the name in English. So Nikki may not be feminized in the native language, whatever, I would guess like Romanian or something. But in English, you might consider just going by Nick. Yoga for Sorcery is something I want to do, but it's expensive. I'm 19 and a student in Austria. God, I should read the comments before I make so many comments of my own. Yeah, it's 97, man. I don't know what to tell you. 97, you should do it. That's just what it is. Like, there's people, most of the clients I think are in. Nikki is not my real name. Okay, well, it throws people off. So I would choose a masculine pseudonym. Well, I guess you're trying to hide. But I mean, now that's so confusing. You're so hidden, dude. Don't be so hidden. You're not, unless you're, I mean, man, that's not what this episode is about, man. You need some help. like, uh, anyway, enjoy. That's quite an experience to have a pseudonym. One day you'll be 30 or 40 or 50 and you'll be like, I had a pseudonym for so many years. Maybe you'll still have a pseudonym. I have a pseudonym, it's Yogi Chris, but it has my real name in it. So I don't know if yours does. Yeah, just pull together $97 and it'll be worth it. Because if you try to learn yoga anywhere else, it's going to cost you the same or more, and it's going to be lower quality. Even in person, it'll be lower quality than what I show. Because I'm not really focused on teaching yoga. I'm doing what I'm doing with AZD. AZD, I live here at base 1. He lives here. AZD is the #1 relationship expert and male character developer, or let's say a development coach for male character development coach. #1 male character development coach on planet Earth, as far as I can see. I'm not guessing. I'm not like, there's not even a close second. So somebody would need to make me aware of somebody. I've recently had the apprentices look at, what other coaches are in the industry. I already knew some, but once I found AZD, I just kind of went all in with that and then very, very rarely saw anybody else. Most of the other coaches I saw were students of AZD, and they surprisingly don't ever give credit to AZD. They don't do shout outs or anything like that. Because if they did, all their students would come here. So that makes them kind of just like dabblers, really. None of them are very close. They're all like kind of at a distance learning. I know certified yoga teachers who do worse down dog than myself. Oh, yeah. And, that because, so Johnny is on the process, I believe. I think he's on the process. And if he was on the process, whoever's on the process would be reading Michael Singer. What's very interesting about the situation with Michael Singer is when I started the yoga YouTube, this 9th Limb Yoga YouTube, and I started 9th Limb Yoga as a brand, and I started teaching under the banner of 9th Limb Yoga, where I got really, really into yoga, where I started teaching yoga and started my fame with yoga was in Gainesville, Florida, which is where Michael Singer is from. I think Michael Singer's like born in New York, but he's lived in, that's where he went to school, was University of Florida. That's where his Temple of the Universe is in it's in Alachua, like 15 minutes from Gainesville. Like Gainesville, he talks about it in his lectures, Gainesville all the time. And I was in Gainesville for 5 years, and I didn't see him until I came back to visit like 2 years after I left. And then I saw him once, and it was all right. He's a great guy, from what I saw. A bunch of people on all these streams, but very few coming to the Zoom. Guys, come to the Zoom. So if you're on Michael Singer's tech, Untethered Soul, and you're really on it, and what does on it mean? Like you've read the book at least 3 or 4 times. And you're trying to apply it. And I don't know what it would be like if I was not around a community of people doing that. So that's called a sangha. So maybe I'd need to read it 8 or 10 times or 100 times. But being that I read it 4 times, he read it 4 times, he read it 4 times, and we're all talking about it, like it's almost like I read it like 100 times. So if you're reading and applying Untethered Soul, then chances are, in my experience, now my experience is I was certified to teach yoga with like 14 other people at a month-long retreat in Lake Tahoe. And then, I've trained with many yogis in India. There were many practitioners around me who were almost all yoga teachers under a teacher who was a great teacher. And then again, in another place in India and other trainings. And then, of course, I cold called thousands of yoga studios. I taught at 65 yoga studios. I taught hundreds of workshops. I've met many people that practice yoga, from the people that are just like, hey, what is it about? Tell me about the benefits, to the person that's, been doing it 25 years, but they're really getting injured now. They've been doing the same thing over and over and even beyond. And 95 to 99%, somewhere in there, you'd be more advanced than them in your yoga, any pose you did, you'd be more advanced than them in your yoga, not in your posture, but in your yoga. You'd be more advanced in your yoga than them if you could apply the Untethered Soul to some degree. 95 to 99% of people that do yoga already, because they may be aware of the concept of talking to yourself, but there's a difference there's just a difference. I mean, it's all the teachings of Michael Singer repeated over and over. As you listen, you'll get this. I'm not really here to repeat it to you. I mean, it's kind of like the hater commented. I'm already like 40 minutes into the stream and I haven't gotten to the topic yet. I should have just gone live and just been like live with Yogi Chris, and then it'd just be whatever I talk about. Yeah, I can. Before I spend 79 a month, I need a proper job. 97 a month. I just use Nikki Morand as a fake name because of internet safety. Yeah, I don't know what it's like there in Austria, and there's probably some legitimacy to that. I think I've never had identity stolen. I've had like fake charges on a card before. You know, I've been censored on Instagram, which is internet, on YouTube is internet. I've been censored. Facebook. I've had a female stalkers. I've had probably one or two male stalkers. Nah, a stalker is a strong word for those men. The females were pretty much stalkers. I mean, maybe they didn't come and find me, but what are they going to do if they can find me? So let's get to it. The subtle language of haters and dabblers. What's there to teach on this? Zay, I would want to teach you on this because you're doing sales. Okay, guys, on Instagram, you've been dabbling. You haven't come to the Zoom stream, which I told you to do. And so I'm going to end this so I can read messages to my guys here on Zoom. Bye. You can get to the topic for them. Should I share it? What do you think? I don't see. I'm going to discard it. Deleted. All right. So we got a lot of people here on that have been messaging. I would say since yesterday, I have messaged 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people on Instagram. And then there's going to be several on text and several on Facebook. So probably like 75 to 80 people I messaged yesterday, different people, different conversation threads. Many reply, and you just, as you do that day in and day out, you get a flavor for language. You start to feel and measure interest, impact, intention, sincerity, authenticity. You also get fooled a lot. So that's kind of how you get better, is you get fooled, you get fooled. People will avoid so much communication because they can't bear the embarrassment of being fooled or being taken advantage of, or being not being able to communicate. So you got to plow through that and match at your level. If I was going to wrestle, I don't want to just train with the world champion every day, whoop my ass when I'm just first learning. So you communicate with people at your level and you keep growing and getting better. And it might be hard to motivate yourself if it's just about communicating. There's really got to be the vision or the goal in sight. You want better relationship. You want more money. Doing what? Doing what you do. How do you make more money doing what you do? Well, it's how you communicate. If he wants to make more money, he needs to hit up a bunch of people about their websites, probably 10 people a day, every day. And in a year, he's talked 3,650 different conversations. And he's probably got a flavor for who's qualified, who doesn't want to do it, who is interested, who's interested but doesn't have money, who's not interested but does have, like, learn all these things. How interested are they? So let's say any of these. I mean, all of these. I want to pick one that like makes it through fruition to like become something. Let's look at this fucking dudes. All right, a dabbler. This is a dabbler. I've talked to him so much. He used to be in the Silent Flute for like 6 months or something. He's a sorcery student. He says, "Hey, on January 13th, have you heard of Project Veritas?" I say, "Yeah, but I'm focused on IMC and getting my game up, so I have more options for myself." I say that to him because I want him to read that. He reads that and says, "I'm focused on IMC. I'm getting my game up, so I have more options for myself." He reads that to himself. That's what it sounds like in his own head. I'm focused on IMC. You get it? So I just say what I want him to read in his mind. Boom. 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 Sign up for the silent flute, everybody. If you want mindset stuff. He reads it, doesn't answer. I say, hey, bro, this is the last camp that it's 627 to come to in person. This was January 18th. And I go into like my sales pitch or whatever. It's just like a three sentences and a screenshot of the details. So 3 sentences and a screenshot of the details. Say, hey, bro, this is the last camp. It's 627 to come to in person. Thought you'd want to know because it goes up to 1,500 for in person next month. A lot of guys coming from LA. You could carpool if you want this weekend and finally come in person to meet a Roshan tribe. Like, it's just value, objection handle. What is it? Last camp 627. That's my route. So my reason for contacting you is it's the last camp at 627, and I thought you should know. Next sentence. Thought you'd want to know because it goes up to 1,500 in person next month. Okay, that's that route. A lot of guys coming from LA, social proof. You could carpool if you want, no excuse to not be able to make it. And finally come in person to meet a Rosh, something you've said that you want to do. So the whole paragraph is designed, and then a screenshot with all the details so that if he says, what are the details? Fuck you, here's the details. I've heard that question a billion trillion times. Here's the screenshot. He leaves it on red. I say, what's going on with it, brother? I spell brother in a non-brother way. Leaves it on red. I'm fuming now. Now, this is on January 29th, so it's 10 days later. So I message 10 guys a day. 10 days later, the conversation's way in the past. I don't react to it. What's going on, brother? He leaves it on red. I send on March 7th. That's a month and a half later. I send a wave hand. Leaves it on red. I don't see that it's on red until I go to message him this next time, and then I see the last message was on red. This time, I'm removing you since you can't communicate. He says, weird, but okay. Best wishes to you. Oh. You replied real fucking fast. I say, oh man, there's a typo right here. There's an added word which, W-H-I-C-H. I don't understand what I was trying to type. I think I was trying to type weird, and somehow I typed it twice because it says no which weird you. Just so I'm going to read it without that which and assume that he realized that the which wasn't supposed to be there. I was going to say not weird. Man, should definitely check. When I'm messaging 50 people a day, it's like sometimes. Okay, not weird, you motherfucker. Is that, that's what it is. No, it was supposed to say what's weird. No, what's weird, you motherfucker, is that you don't reply until I say I'm removing you. That was fucking weird. So fuck you. And I'd already removed it, right? He says, I've been unfair to you, no doubt. Look, I have a lot of respect for you and all you've accomplished. I'm sorry for the way I've treated you. You deserve better. I hope if I do meet you one day, there will be peace between us. Farewell. So passive aggressive. Oh, that's polite. You're going the wrong way with your character, bro. Gotta snap out of it. So I'm still selling him. And I see how I was even too nice there. Says, maybe I'll hit you up when things are good for me because then I can exchange positivity and value. No, definitely. You're acting and talking like a beta pussy, leaving me on red and acting like you're interested. You're wasting my time. Don't talk with me anymore or follow my stuff until you're on the dragon's lair. Let's see how I'd edit this. No, definitely you're acting and talking like a pussy. Leaving me on red and acting like you're interested. No, I'm going to say you're acting like a pussy, leaving me on red, and talking like you're interested. You're wasting my time. I don't like the line, you're wasting my time, because I feel like nobody can waste my time but myself. They can't waste my time. I gave them time, and that was wrong of me to give them time. You could say, am I doing that right now? No, definitely you're acting like a pussy, leaving me on red. Your only good exchange is money, because you're way off on being a man. So that's what I say. It was a little nicer than what I was going to say. I was obviously angry there. Let's see. Anything else? Which one of these is going to be good? Let's see here. A lot of these are kind of like recently opened threads. Okay, here's one. This was a dabbler. I say on March 7th, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's that thing going? He was talking about something else. Leaves it on red. I say, yo, on May 15th, 2 months later, yo. He leaves it on red. Yesterday, so that's May 27th. I say, you need to reply or I'm removing you. He says, remove me, G. I say, pathetic. He said, LOL, I agree, bro. I say, you're hiding your opinions and can't express disagreements with AZD. Sure, facts. And why I said that is because he had unfollowed AZD. AZD was still following him, but he had unfollowed AZD. So you're leaving me on red, which is just so passive aggressive. It's so passive aggressive and it's so lonely and pathetic as a man. If you leave someone on red, because that means you took the time to read it, but didn't take the time to say, don't message me anymore. So it shows a real lack of foresight that you're going to keep getting messaged, or just a passive aggression where you can't state your boundaries. You would just let somebody be led on continuously, never saying anything until they get bored with things. It's so passive aggressive because there's clearly a disagreement, but you can't communicate your disagreement. And so that was done to him growing up as a boy. It was done to probably most of us at some point, where things weren't explained to us or told us boundaries, but so much we were given the cold shoulder, we were given the silent treatment, we were given those things at crucial times, and we just were seeking understanding and didn't know how to say something. Like, I would love to just understand you're not interested in AZD, but what's that going to happen? He's going to say, I'm not interested in AZD. Why? Where's your disagreement? I would ask. Because it's not like I'm selling a car. It's not like I'm selling you a house. Some people don't want to live in a house. Some people don't want a car. You're a man. You definitely want more. I see you're a fitness trainer. You definitely want more business for yourself, which is going to take sales and communication. And you definitely want women, because look at what you're doing with yourself. All day you're making your body like immaculate for what? So that you can look in the mirror, so that you can make other people look great? Like, what are you doing? And I don't see any women on your Instagram. And you unfollowed AZD, so you got some disagreement, man. So these are all the contexts that I apply when I say you got some disagreement, this or that. Because the client that I want is the one not that's already still ready to learn from AZD. It's not the one that has good game. I want the client that can see and understand and recognize truth when it's told to him, because he's been told a bunch of lies. So I assume they're all confused anyway. But if I say to him, you have disagreement with AZD, and he would say, yeah, man, you're right. Okay, now the sale continues, and now you still have help. I can still help you. You're fucked up for leaving me on red, but I get you're a weak man, and that's your best way of putting up boundaries is just closing off to somebody, because you're just so weak. Even though looking at your body, you have a great body. But the guy's, this is what the guy looks like. I don't know. It's going to show his name. I don't want to do it. So, let's see. Dabbler like me before when I didn't have cash. Possibly, but that's weak. Just say you don't have cash. Like Stefanos. If anybody knows Stefanos, I fucking blew up at Stefanos. He had left me on red twice, and we'd already gone through it like twice. We're twice before, on months ago. You left me on red for like 3 messages. Hey, man, don't fucking leave me on red. Sorry, bro. I just blah, 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 blah. replies real fast when you get angry at them for leaving on red, as if that's a way more important message than whatever I was hitting them up about. They can't say, hey man, no money. Hey man, not interested. Why? Because it's probably a lie. It's probably, what do you mean? Do you want to, are you going to, can you ask your mom? Can you ask your dad for the money? What about your girlfriend? You don't have a girlfriend. How long are you going to go without a girlfriend? You need this information. Yeah, I'm going to apply pressure on all of the weaknesses because it's not going to make you any less weak, me not pointing them out. And the whole point of what we do is for the planet to get stronger. You think that the planet is healing, is everybody giving somebody sympathy? No, the planet is healing. The planet heals by strong men, good men stepping up and pushing out evil and eradicating evil and protecting women and children and families and tribes and protecting information and protecting the old so the wisdom can be shared, passed down. It's men. Men will save the planet, not you hugging pedophiles and rapists and shit and dilly-dalliers and dabblers and weak men. That's not healing the planet. So this is on my yoga YouTube and they're like, well, why are you, this isn't yoga at all. You can't even begin to really appreciate yoga until you master life in some way. If you're not mastering life in some way, very few, a very, very small portion. So you're probably not it. If you're like really deeply into yoga, but you didn't master life, chances are, like I would bet a lot of money, not all of my money because there's a small chance, but chances are you're escaping reality for spirituality because you couldn't do it right. You couldn't get it right. You were miserable. And you may be unaware that you're miserable. Like I was saying in lecture the other day, I got this bell, sweet bell from Coach Marin. It's got all these different notes. Check this out. Check this out. Ready? I could go down too. Ready? Up, there. So those are like different emotions. And join the silent flute, everybody. I don't know why you're not on the silent flute. It's only 77 a month. 77 a month. 4 lectures a week. Jesus. And I might put that, or 4 lectures a month, and I might push that to 8 lectures a month. I may make this a lecture. I may split this class up. I may do a podcast at 10 Pacific and do a silent flute lecture at 11. This time, I'm just going to do this enlightened masculinity. But we'll see. If this Saturday continues, then that's probably, I see that happening. Because I want to give those people more mindset. So get in while it's still 77. Go to ninthlimb.com. So most people, they think anger is that, and they think sadness is that, and they think happiness is this, and they think joy is this, empathy is this, enthusiasm is this. You can't tell them hitting the same note every time. They can't tell the difference between their feelings. They're just going this feeling, that feeling, this feeling, that feeling, that feeling, this feeling. And they don't know, they can't put words on I feel this way or that way. But really it's empathy's over there, sadness is over there, happiness over there, anger over there, joy over there. They're totally different. Right? Now, why was I saying that? Nick on, I'm just gonna call you Nick. Nick on YouTube is saying he just got notified that I was live. So how did you find this live in the beginning? Did you you just were on my YouTube and you joined? Silent flute. So different emotions. So what was I saying about what anyway? Dabblers, disagreement, healing the planet, strengthening men, appreciating yoga when you've mastered life to some degree, like so that you're not just escaping that suffering. There are some people that they didn't master life yet, but they're still so drawn to yoga that there's just no pulling them off of it. There's no getting them to stop doing it because they got to go master life. Like they'll just renounce all of their failures anyway. They don't give a fuck and they go be a monk. And that's a small portion. Most people are escaping their failures to go be a monk. And so I don't want to learn yoga from that kind of person. Now, what I did was unique. I did it in a unique way. There are people that have done it. What I did specifically, cold calling the US and traveling as a yoga rock star at the age of 30 was unheard of. I'd never heard of anybody doing it as big as me, not even close. But there are plenty of people who did this more general thing I did, which was I began to master life through the business of yoga. I hadn't really mastered it before that, so to speak. I mean, I had earned a PhD. I was a wrestling champion. I'd accomplished many things. But, those I feel were separated from the real world, like the wrestling, for school. It had nothing to do with my education, very little professional outlook. And I was just like, I was doing that because that was so fun and I enjoyed that so much and I loved that so much versus I was getting the college education because that was like the smart thing to do. Like if I could have just made a living wrestling all the time and coaching wrestling, yeah, that would have been nice at the time. Now I see that, man, my body would be aching so much right now. I couldn't walk. I'd have hip replacements already. But so much fun wrestling, and then the PhD was very separated from the economy. It was just like, we're in an ivory tower of academia, analyzing things that are far away from us and giving recommendations. And that wasn't mastering life. That was mastering like that skill and those activities. I mastered wrestling, but mastering life. I mean, even just paying your bills, like fuck, getting relationships. That's like huge. That's it. Way more important than paying your bills, but definitely getting a roof over your house, getting a roof over your head, like taking care of what you need to take care of in the modern sense. Maybe getting a car and driving is not like mastering life in a root primal way, but being able to take care of yourself to whatever degree is needed and be happy about it, enjoy and be growing, progressing so that, there's a mastering of life instead of receiving handouts and, being entitled to things and always complaining about what you have. And there's no mastery of life there. There's just like entitlement and ignorance about what it took to give you what you have. And therefore you'll never be able to get more because you don't even know what it took to get you what you have. You get the work that's been put into, what makes your life possible for yourself right now, not just your mom and dad hooking up, but like all the stuff that went into you and the appreciation of that. It's called upstream, the upstream resources and the upstream energy inputs and the upstream effort that was put into making your current situation right now possible and the appreciation of all of that. And then and it takes a lot of understanding to grasp that. And then you broadcast forward in time, like, oh, this is what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to put it together like this, and it's going to become that. And you start to master what it takes to move your life forward on this evolution. That's called mastering life. And then there's the spiritual practices, which is like a separation from that, a non-attachment to that, and an observation of that, a noticing of that. And it's like, that has nothing to do with life. But if you can mend or blend the two, so that you can practice spirituality while you're mastering life, while you're living, that's great. That's, I think, what most sane people are kind of going for. They want that spiritual connectedness and all of the bliss and powers and, abilities that come with a spiritual life. But they don't want to, turn away from life and everything that went into putting them here and making life possible for them and, giving back to that same life. So, that's I mastered that, or I began to master that, through my cold calling, promoting myself, arriving to those places, getting my bills paid through my own work and effort. Now, yeah, I leveraged things. I would leverage my girlfriend when I needed a place to stay. I would leverage where I could sell her or my parents. I would leverage my apprentices who would be willing to do work for me just in exchange for me conversing with them, because I'd invested everything that I had into learning how to communicate, because I saw this architecture of the mind, this architecture of language, this science and art of communication, this interchange of ideas and emotions and understanding and philosophy and lifestyle that's kind of built on language and understanding concepts and giving things real accurate definitions so that you understand things as they are. There's so much depth here. This is Silent Flute. Like, come to Silent Flute, ninthlimb.com, $77 a month. And by the way, if you're on IMC, you have like 20 hours left to sign up for the discount. The discount for the upcoming camp, the June camp. There's the pickup camp, and there's, you could call it like the Congress, the IMC Congress, which is a tribal meeting of the highest order on planet Earth. Like, you'd have to go to like Illuminati to see something that has that like potency, and they're, evil and corrupt. To the best of our awareness, there's evilness and corruption in there, and that there is zero evilness and corruption in IMC, as we know it. So that discount's going on. You could go to imcbase1.com and see about those events and those discounts. And yeah, send me any questions. But next day is the next day of my life is very busy, applying to lots and lots of people. That's why I wanted to do a stream and talk, because I've been messaging a lot. I'm ready to say something out loud. I got a private message here. I was just saying to myself about emotions. We recognize feeling in bodies. With the sounds, yes. Cool. Thank you. Getting paid ethically important. Yeah, so not a cog in a machine, but through my own effort. And so the money in is a relationship to the effort out. And you calibrate, okay, my effort is worth this much, my effort is worth this much. Now you could overvalue yourself, you could undervalue yourself. You could be trying to sell someone who doesn't see the value in what you do. You could be talking to someone who hella sees the value in what you do. I taught a lady breathing in St. Lucia, so it's a Caribbean island. It was a $200 private lesson, because the resort I was teaching at took half. So I only got 100 only, but that's what my fees are. So it was 200. She paid the 200 and then tipped me another 100, because through breathing, the way I taught her, she remembered words where she had some kind of, I don't think it was a stroke, but it was something, maybe she fell on her head or something. She had lost her ability to speak English. She spoke French. She was a French woman. She could understand what I said, but she couldn't speak it. And she remembered a bunch of words, how to say them through my breathing practice. One private lesson. So she tipped me an extra 100. What's that worth? If I lived in St. Lucia, I'd probably be getting a private lesson every day with her, or every fucking week or something for some time. There's a lot of value there. And if I had said $500, maybe she would have done it. The value was there. But somebody who's doesn't even have the patience to sit and breathe and is totally unaware that they're tense. Oh, my camera turned off. And they're totally aware that they're tense. Man, they see zero value in breathing. They wouldn't pay you a cent. You couldn't even pay them $10 to sit for half an hour. You have to pay them a bunch. Just different people, different values, different levels of awareness. And you must measure and gauge their interest, their words, their tonalities. If I'm working over text, there's a tonality to their text. And, through practice and experience, you measure interest, you measure passive aggressiveness, you measure, and you see that in yourself too. It's not like you're righteous, being perfect, all perfect. It's funny because this bell is resonating with my voice. So as I talk, I can hear this thing. This thing is resonating with my voice. And I hear a light bell ring coming out of it. So language and dabblers and haters, haters will ask you questions, but it's almost confrontational. It's almost like a conflict. Why do I feel like this is an argument question, an argumentative question? Because if it comes from a place of really high respect for you, just think, if you were going to ask a question from someone you highly respect, someone you look up to from YouTube or some celebrity or something, you would ask a question in a real polite way. You would be really aware of how you're wording it. And that doesn't mean that everybody needs to hold me in such high respect, but people that have a lot of value, that have earned a lot of respect in the world, have achieved high status, not just given it, but they've achieved it, they know how to communicate better. They would communicate in that way, in a way that shows respect, because that's how you get shit done. That's how you get cooperation from people. And if they didn't, if it wasn't a respectful communication from them, I would know it's a hateful communication. They may not be so conscious of it, but they are very capable of communicating respectfully when they have respect for someone, and disrespectfully when they don't. The more capable you become as a communicator, you communicate more respectfully or less respectfully when you so desire. And the path to that level of mastery of communication means that sometimes you communicate passive aggressively when you didn't mean to. It means that sometimes you are nice to someone when you should have been mean. It means that sometimes you might be mean when you were just angry about something else and you didn't know how to separate the two incidents where you're talking to somebody else now. You must earn the mastery through the pain of fucking up. And then you figure out how to do it better. And, tribe is very important in this. Regular daily conversations are very important in achieving this. I teach the science of communication and mindset in the silent flute. I learned from my teacher, Rasta Pardibazar, whose membership program is called the Dragon's Lair. It's $97 a month. It's daily lectures. I highly recommend that. If you're a guy, but you also may be so far displaced from AZD teachings that you literally won't last in that class. It'll be over your head. You'll get triggered by like emotionally sensitive content or whatever. So come to the silent flute. I'll be that like stepping stone for you. And then the silent flute is mostly for my apprentices and for women that are around me that want to be close to me. The closer you want to be to me as a woman, you should definitely join the silent flute. Why? Because I just don't have that much time to explain things to you like one-on-one until you're already in enough agreement with me. Because until you're in enough agreement with me, it's going to be a bunch of land. It's like walking through a minefield. Like women, not only are they wounded as men are, and not only are they, I took the time to learn what I know because I saw the corruption of the planet. I saw the corruption of my industry, environmental engineering. I saw the corruption of just everything around, and it was just so wrong, and things weren't right. The laws around marijuana, the laws around guns, the ways that women and men interact that were acceptable, what women's behavior was, what men's behavior was, how civilized or uncivilized this was. I was unsatisfied with it. And that's why I sought to do my own thing, entrepreneurial with yoga, and then eventually shift to this IMC stuff full time. But I saw the value in this information because it was so freeing from those cages of those mindsets, of the political mindset, of the feminist mindset, of the religious mindset. Like there was freedom from that stuff, but still it made me very religious, spiritual. It made me very masterful over my interactions with women. Even though maybe I got a lot of women, maybe I didn't get a lot of women, but I became more and more aware of what they were really saying. They're not saying what they're saying. Men aren't either, but it's much less acceptable from men. I'll just like not interact with them. Women, she's still pretty and you still want to interact with her, but she's communicating so badly. She's not saying what she means. She's saying a bunch of other shit. You gotta, and if you just go off of that, you're gonna not go very far with her. Or if you do, it's gonna be she's in the lead because she's leading you with false information. She's in control. She's not saying her mind. She's just tolerating your, your bad ability to communicate and understand her because she likes you for something else. Your money, your body, your connections, your whatever. You're the best option compared to other men. You communicate a little bit better. But IMC is that philosophy and that understanding when you learn it. Like I learned 7 years of engineering and then 5 years of environmental science. So I have a 12.5-year PhD and a master's degree in this and that. And I learned, wrestling at this high level of leverage and moves and mindset and training and nutrition and regiments, and discipline and all of the healing your body, all of the things, the body awareness that comes from wrestling at a high level for years. Like I learned that stuff. This stuff, IMC Tech from AZD, man, most deepest, fulfilling information at mastering life. And now we are really achieving this blend of spirituality and life, where I've always been recognized in IMC Nation since the first time I met AZD. He was AD at the time, and AD named me Yogi Chris. And when I got my PhD, he named me Yogi Chris PhD. He might have even named me Yogi Chris PhD before then, because I was almost finished with my PhD. And that's been my pseudonym, and that's been my avatar, and that's been my personality in the IMC Nation. So people saw me as Yogi, and maybe they didn't seek me out so much for yoga. Now they do more. And it doesn't matter because I had a yoga business. And I'm not really that interested in teaching yoga. It's a lot of effort for not a lot of reward. The biggest reward is that people love it. And, that's why I like teaching Tor, because he just loves it. And so it's easy. I don't really care so much about the money because nobody's going to pay me what it's worth relative to this IMC stuff. And it just takes away from IMC stuff. Or it takes away from my own practices if I allow it to. So it's just like infringing on my limited time to teach something like that. But I do put out products and I teach a group class because that makes it more worth it. So people come to, there's like 14 or 15 people in this yoga for sorcery and they're paying whatever they're paying. I split some of the revenue with Frank White because most of the people are his sorcery students. So it's like, let's say $1,000 a month I make on yoga for sorcery. And I teach 9 classes a month. So it's basically like $110 a class. All right, yeah. It's okay. Going through my repertoire, I make video blogs from it. It's a nice little interesting shout out. Yeah, it's a shout out to Frank White. It's a shout out because I want a lot of those Frank White students are AZD students. So if they have interest in this stuff, I can see how it would benefit them. It would benefit their mindset as it has benefited mine to be able to change your emotions around, to change your chemistry around, to feel better in your body and loosen up your, your whole nervous system so that you increase your attention span, oxygenate your brain and everything so you pay attention longer and focus better and, be more sensitive and perceptive of when the outer world affects your inner world. When somebody says or does something or something happens, and internally you're affected. It's important to realize that as you raise in power level on earth, because when you have more effect, more influence on people, when more people rely on you, it's more important that you're aware of what's agitating you inside, what's affecting you, to be able to follow your intuition about that's right or wrong, or, they're dabbling, they're hating, or they're just unable to communicate, I could read another message. So this guy used to be on Dragon's Lair. Where is okay. Yesterday. Wait. Sorry. May 15th. He said, I'm still watching the videos. I left Lions Den. I think he said I left around January 2022. So that's Brotherhood of the Beast. I left Brotherhood of the Beast around January 22, but I'm still watching videos. I say, I don't understand what you're saying. The free YouTube stuff, or are you still on Dragon's Lair? Because he says he's watching videos, but he got off the program in 2022. So are you saying you're watching YouTube videos? You're so hidden. You're hiding that. You're hiding that you're watching free videos and telling me that you're watching videos. The free YouTube stuff, or are you still on Dragon's Lair? He also said, I left out with for some reason I say this, private moment is where it's at. If you can participate in one of those, it will greatly evolve your sincerity and presence in your beingness. He says, yeah, the free YouTube stuff. Okay, great, is his reply to the private moment. I say, where are you at in getting back on Dragon's Lair? So he says he's watching the free YouTube stuff. I'm like, where are you at getting back on Dragon's Lair? I got no time to talk about YouTube shit. Fucking peon. He says, I'm on Dragon's Lair at the moment. I say, you are or you aren't? He says, I'm not at the moment. He had a typo because I think it was voice to text. I make mistakes, but this guy, I'm glad I went hard on him. I wish I'd gone harder on him. He says, I'm not at the moment. I thumbs up it and say, how big of a priority is it for you to return to AZD teachings and the tribe? So I asked, are you on Dragons? Or I asked, what videos? He says, for YouTube videos. I say, are you on Dragon's Lair? He says, I am. I say, you are or you aren't? He says, I'm not. I say, how big of a priority is it for you to return? He says, it's definitely a mid-level priority due to my budget at the moment, but I will still come on free sessions and keep up the teaching when I'm off from work. See, Toradni is like, this bitch, this guy is such a bitch, such a pussy, not dedicated at all. What a little faggot. I say, I see. It's $97 a month, right? So he's saying because of budget, he's not on. I'm saying it's $97 a month, right? He says, yeah, I'm currently down expenses at the moment. I say, what's that mean? Why are you talking this fucking trash ghetto talk, indirect bullshit? You're such a pussy. Were you slapped around by your mom and your dad wasn't around, and so that's how you talk, is like a fucking dumb city hoe? Yeah, I'm currently down expenses at the moment. I say, what's that mean? He says, I'm currently downing my expenses at the moment. Oh, there's English. There's English. I get it. You put an ing at the end of that and it makes sense now. I'm currently downing expenses at the moment. I'm currently see, Kamari knows what I'm talking about. I'm currently downing my expenses at the moment, he says. I say, you chose the wrong thing to cut out. I mean, downing expenses. You fucking you dabbler. You goddamn dabbler. Goddamn you. Downing my expenses at the moment, that means I have some things to choose from and I cut some out. And Dragon's Lair was one of them. Good. I hope you fall in love with the most beautiful woman and she rips your heart out when she cheats on you with an IMC monk. And then we're all going to laugh at you when you return and say, why'd you leave, you dumbass? I say, you chose the wrong thing to cut out, because he said, I'm currently downing my expenses. You got to see that. You got to see that that means I'm downing my expenses means I have options, and I cut some things out, and Dragon's Lair wasn't one. And I say, you chose the wrong thing to cut out. He says, you're right. See, it's similar to the other faggot that was talking like, I've mistreated you, and I hope when we meet, we can get along. Farewell. He says, you're right. Follow up with me in 1 month's time. I'll be good in a good space. Follow up with you about what? Signing up to Dragon's Lair? I make $0 on that. It's like not my interest at all. I was going to sell you on a camp. I was just seeing if you're off the program or not. And you've just been doing all this indirect, dumbass city whore language. He says, you're right. Follow up with me in 1 month time. I'll be in a good space. I say, just sign up. I'm busy with the guys that are coming around. That's a ridiculous request. Fuck off. Really, I don't care if you sign up. Not at all. He reads it. He still follows me. I'm going to go unfollow him right now. I don't want to see his stupid shit. Stupid, lame ass shit. Attention. Putting it because you get my attention, and that's the value. And it feels weird to say that and to think that way at first. And especially where I am, because my position, I have specifically designed my position to be right next to AZD. That's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in the middle of IMC Nation community. I didn't want to interact too much with anybody outside of IMC because they're all slaves. All the people in yoga industry, they're slaves. All the people in academia, they're slaves. Most of the people in the world are slaves. They're slaves to something. At the very least, they're slaves to women. And women are slaves to public opinion. Women are slaves to other people's opinions. They are. And if they have that fuck you attitude and they're like, I don't care about nobody, first of all, they're extremely miserable, as they all are, but they are especially spiteful and hateful. And they still care about the opinions of a few people. They're doing that to appease some people. They're not a lone wolf out there because they're not a wolf at all. They're not a lone sheep out there, that's for sure. Sheep got to group together, and women are sheep because they don't stand up for anything. Maybe occasionally you see fucking Joan of Arc or whatever, some activist. And I tell you what, they're so brainwashed because their activism is on the wrong thing. The Red Cross traffics blood from children. They're just trafficking blood. They're trafficking adrenochrome and shit. You're going to be an activist for fucking Red Cross? You could find that in so many organizations that have gone international and gone huge. Doesn't mean all of them. I'm not going to be that guy that distrusts everything. But some entry-level woman activist or whatever. I mean, BLM activists. Come on. Look at what those women did. Like, again, it's not that all activism is wrong, but a woman who's dedicated herself to activism has dedicated herself to a life of misery. And that's not the kind of value I would want in the mother of my children. So she's made herself unmateable. Unless she's got, the hots for the head guy who's the activist leader, and she's just doing that to get close to him. That's a really awesome thing, actually. And you're probably going to get him too. But if you're just doing it because you're so passionate about a cause, you are a victim and a slave of your trauma. You're a slave to your trauma. And many people are, I suppose. But I'm just saying that because there are women that stand for something, but so many of them are confused about what they stand for. I like women that stand for anti-abortion. I don't even necessarily agree with it. I think a woman should be able to abort if she wants to. I also think we should be able to shame her if we don't like it. It should be allowed that we ostracize her from our family or our community if we don't agree with it. It should also be allowed that people can protest that we do that. And that's where it escalates this whole two sides of like, you should or shouldn't. But I like women standing up for that because it seems like the women that stand up for anti-abortion, they're always dressed conservatively and nice. They always look good. They always are presentable. They're always speaking intelligently, not like I'm down expenses at the moment. That means that your expenses are down, dumbass. You get the language of what you just said. I'm down expenses mean your expenses are down, which means you have more money to spend. Oh, you're downing expenses. That changes the meaning of the sentence. But you don't know that because you're used to ass backwards city ho trash talk. It's like, let me ask you, what does that mean? Why are you intentionally saying that word backwards? Because it's entertaining, because you can't get nobody to listen to you unless you say a word interestingly like. See, when I start using creative, like just making it up like a baby, you pay attention a little bit more because it's like, that's interesting. I haven't heard it like that. You like cock your head. Let me ask you. What, you just making up language? Okay. I guess that's what all language is at some point. Somebody made it up. So that's cool. I don't correct people when they say it in front of me. This is my show. I'm allowed to say it. I think ain't nobody is retarded to talk like that. Ain't nobody means not anybody, which means nobody. No, I'm sorry. It means not nobody, which means somebody. Ain't nobody means not somebody. Or it means not nobody, which is somebody. See, it's confusing. Ain't nobody means not nobody, which is somebody. Or it's just not nobody. It doesn't even specify if it's somebody or nobody. It's in the middle. That's why it's so vague and so passive. It's so weak, and it comes from women. That language comes from women and criminals. Criminals who are trying to evade or hide something without giving it away. They've got to give an answer, but they're not going to give away the truth. They're just not going to lie. Ain't nobody, blah, blah, blah. What? Where did you learn to talk like that? Jesus. And that's probably what a slave was trying, the literal slaves who were physically enslaved were probably trying to evade punishment, whatever. I get where that could come from, and I empathize with that. But how much tolerance would you have of me if I had such bad white racist behaviors just because my dad was white racist? Like, you don't forgive the child just because the dad was like that. And it's the same way on the bottom of the spectrum or the other end of the spectrum. If you were a slave or if your parent was a slave, and I judge you for how you act. And sorry that your parent was a slave, but like I said to somebody on the lecture the other day, I don't know why I was born to my parents, you were born to your parents. Why I was born in America and you were born in Jamaica, and you can't make it here because of vaccine cards and you don't make enough money. I don't know why you were born there and I was born here. But I know that I give up everything I had to do what I'm doing. How much do you still have left to give up? Or this, which is what? Ethical money, freedom of expression. Listen to what I've said. I don't have any risk of my job firing me. There's guys in IMC, coaches in IMC, who are afraid to speak what they do publicly because they may get fired. It might be a human relations issue. Damn it. That's why you have two lives. That's why you have a pseudonym, because you're afraid of punishment in the other life. I get it. We got to climb out of where we are. It mattered to me. It was a big deal when I got a palm tattoo and a hand tattoo, because I was like, I can't be a practicing engineer at the highest level if I had these. Okay. It took steps. It took steps to block my parents on social media. Now they're not blocked, but I had to block them at some point to push my boundaries. Block my sister, block ex-girlfriends, block whoever, because you can tell whoever to fuck off. I didn't block Abdul. I just unfollowed him so I don't see his shit. If I see him looking at my stuff again in a month, I'll message him again. I'll probably just hand him off to some other guy to talk to, because it's at this point where it's inhibiting the growth of the nation, because my role is the growth. These beast camps are my work and effort. And AZD is the value. He's the gold. I'm selling the gold, but there would be no customers if I didn't say about it and pull you in and say, no, that other gold was fake. This is real gold. You don't even know what it's like until you see the real thing. That shit had copper in it, and it didn't bend like this stuff. It rusted a little bit. It's not the same. This doesn't rust. Very easy to do when you got the pure thing. You just got to look out for people robbing you of it. So they'll talk to you forever and get value from you and ask for free resources and this and that, and come to your podcast forever and never sign up. So DC, fragile. Wait, some dumbass in here. Good space. What is he, an astronaut? That was a good one. Oh, that would have been so funny. In a good space. What are you doing? A fucking astronaut? Just sign up. Earth to Abdul. Just sign up. Why are you wasting my time? That would have been great. I wish you were right there with me, Kamar. You'd been like, what is he, an astronaut? Oh, man. That's freeing, right? Because space is like, it has so many meanings. Okay, DC. How would you go by turning that guy around as a client? Would you magnify his pain in life, and how? Well, it's a lot of effort and little reward. I don't think the guy has a ton of money, not very particularly qualified. The thing to do in my industry is just get people on Dragon's Lair and let Dragon's Lair nurture them and increase their want and their need and press their buttons and everything. That guy is somewhat aware of Dragon's Lair, so he's probably out ethics. And I've always thought he was out ethics because of the way he talked about his friends' opinions, where he's like, he would talk about game and applying something that AZD had taught about interaction with women, and it would work. And he'd be like, I couldn't believe it worked. But then my buddy was like, blah, blah, blah. And AZD would be like, why are you paying attention to your buddies? They don't have, it's because he's part of a black fraternity from DC. And then, like, you see all his posts, he's all about like, and it's cool to be about the black community, black nation, black, whatever. But he wasn't part of IMC Nation, barely ever hashtagged it. He was all about these just nerds who were like just dark-skinned scholars from their local city or whatever university, American University, Maryland University. Like, great, man. I got the highest levels of educations also in the university level. And you're all a bunch of slaves. Your opinions, oh man, you don't got game. You're just going the wrong direction with your male character development. You're valuing the outside world. And how many of them have you introduced to IMC Nation? If this shit is so great, I know it's so great. This is pure gold. But how many have you brought? You haven't brought any. You're hiding something. You're trying to get an upper hand on them, an advantage. And if you look at his pictures, he's always the shortest guy in his crew. He looks good. He's trying to write a book. His grammar is no better than his text messages. Who would read that shit? He's just repeating somebody else's bullshit. And so he's not very qualified. But if I was really going to try to turn him around as a client, it would just, first it would have to be on the phone or in person. And it would be something like, hey man, shoot me straight. Like, why haven't you brought anybody to IMC Nation? Like, you can't come up with $97. Like, I would just have to confront him. And if there's some values where he's not expressing a value, where he's like, I just don't agree with how aggressive the group is. Or just, I don't like how Arash sometimes says nigga or something. Or like, it would just be something like, he's so demanding of money and he like threatens us so much. Or it's just like, man, I just don't need that game. Like, I got game. What do you mean you got game? He's the #1 player on the planet. Like, what kind of game you got? He's like, nah, man, I'm fucking girls. It's like, what do you mean? Don't you want to build a relationship? He's like, nah, man, I just want to fuck these hoes. Because his mom was a whore or something. He has no concept of like a deeper relationship with a woman. That's a different value. But he's not able to express that or willing to express that. He'd rather lead me on and drag me on forever. So I hit him up next month so he's in a better space. No, fuck you. And I may hit him up next month, but I'm going to say, what would I say? I would say, honestly, at this point, if I see him on my stories again, I'll give him 1 or 2 or 3 more times. After 2 or 3 more times, I would say, I might just remove him. I'll probably just remove him as a follower. It's just not worth my time. Like, what would it take to convince that guy to ask friends or family for loans so that he could get training? It's just, I don't see the quality in the guy. You know, and it takes away time from interacting with other people who may be more potential prospects. And I don't necessarily like thinking of like the IMC guys as prospects, but it's you know, a better friend. You know, I don't know that I want Abdul as a friend. He's not intelligent. He hides his values. He's a slave to public opinion. He doesn't post anything risky on his Instagram at all. He's normal. He's a normie. Tries to talk slick and cool and have game or whatever, so that makes him slightly less normie, but he's a normie. I got what you mean by that, Yogi. By what? I just said a lot. Which thing did you get? I wonder. Hattori, just to be straight up, truth does not need to be suppressed. Yeah, man. I mean, if he has a disagreement, just tell me. I'd respect the guy more. But I would just question it. And that's where maybe he doesn't see it's either worth having the conversation with me, which it's not worth it for me hitting you up then, or He's afraid of confrontation. Okay, I get that we're dealing with guys are also wounded in different ways and they may be intimidated. I've realized more and more in present time that I may be overly taking advantage of my position because people respect AZD so much that they don't want to have any disagreement or disrespect with me. And they may not be realizing that leaving me on red, or they're just not like what they're doing to avoid the conflict is also creating conflict. So Kamari says, when some has ulterior motives, hide who they are, had to establish trust with people like that. Yeah, hard to attack. Yeah, because hard to, yeah, exactly. They have ulterior motives. They got some values that they're hiding, some agenda that they're hiding. And it's not like that was my first 5 messages with the guy. I mean, these are my messages with the guy. If you want to see, let's see how much I've gotten to know. This is each guy in IMC Nation, by the way. So here's the messages. Okay, this is my messages with the guy. How much do you message other IMC guys? Tories in IMC Europe? How much do you message IMC European guys? Hey, we're still going. We're still going. Let's see. That was back in October. Yeah, we're only back to October of last year. That was 8 months ago. Still going. This is how much I've messaged back and forth with this guy. He's just someone on Dragon's Lair. He got 1 beast camp for free because he did something good that AZD liked. That was a year ago. I recognized the flyer. Still going. This is how much I've messaged back and forth with this guy. Now, how many of those messages are, hey man, have you heard about this camp? Yes, they're promo messages, but then we go into dialogue. Why aren't you showing up? Where's your values? What are you looking for? Where's your game at? You have a girlfriend? See, we're still going. What am I at? Hundreds of messages back and forth? It's loading. Loading. We're back to April 15th, 2020. So this is 2 years ago in a month. Okay, maybe a little bit before that. So you saw that. That was normal. So 300 guys in IMC, that for everybody. Some more, some less. Najib, Os, better, great class, gotta head out. Brother, great class. Yeah, fuck yeah. All right. Still got 12 people on. How many people we have on YouTube still? 1. Nick. I found out about you a week ago because Frank White, and I just found out that you have a Zoom and all that. I just did a yoga a very few days ago, but actually taught things behind Baywall. I see your English is 19-year-old Austrian. What is IMC? Integrated Mental Concepts. I'm an aspiring sorcerer. I want to learn how to connect with, evoke spirits, how to manifest and change my reality. And I understand that yoga can help. And this is important, but why? Well, yoga will help your sorcery because it cleans out your nervous system and you're more sensitive to subtleties. Because what you need as a 19-year-old, as a 29, 39, 49, 59, 69-year-old is discernment. You need discernment to be able to distinguish different concepts, different sensations. That's what's going to be your mastery. Because to the degree that you're numb, that you keep thinking that this note is the same as this note, is the same as that note, is the same as this note, is the same as that note, you lack discernment. You need discernment so that you can master this reality. And that comes through understanding. I think it comes through language. I think the magic of Arash Bazaar is the most powerful on earth. What is AZD is my teacher, Arash Sapar Bazaar. Zapar is a demon of Goetia tradition. That's how we all know Frank White is through Zapar. What's Dragon's Lair is his membership program on arashsapar.com. Is the show where a bunch of rich people invest in a product company ideas. That's like Shark Tank or something. That's not what this is. All right. Thank you, brother. I'm Musco as well. Got to make money ethically far out, for sure. Okay, I get it. People, all right, this is about the end of the stream. So let's see, in closing remarks. Well, Johnny, sign up for camp. Josiah, sign up for camp. Lone Wolf, sign up for camp. You haven't done the sign up yet. Patrick, what are you doing? You're from the yoga YouTube, so Ninth Limb, yoga for sorcery, silent flute, or join IMC. Like IMC, I almost flipped you off. IMC, yoga for sorcery, Ninth Limb. Let's get on the deal with these programs. You know, like you're obviously very interested. I'd love to help you. I recognize that you're new, and so if this stuff interests you, I don't know who else you're studying, how much you're clinging on to $77 or $97. Like, you know, your evolution is right in front of you. You got to exchange for it. Maybe you've been duped or fooled in the past with buying things. So you gotta learn to recognize truth and enthusiasm and sincerity when you see it. Kamari, Beast Camp, man. That's like the next step. Suv Outlaw. I mean, make payments. You were asking me about other people making payments, make payments. Terry Konzo, you got to get it paid off, man. Tony K, this is a special episode of Enlightened Masculinity. So this episode and the last episode are extremely long. So hopefully let's see how the views do. And Zay Simba, man, you got to get to making money. Like, I know that, driving is, paying the bills, and I send you some money for the website sometimes. I really think if you're going to go with the website stuff, start selling it. Start hitting up everybody. Hey, do you need a website? Like, if you hit up 100 people, it might take 10 days. And if 2 of them buy from you, that's 2 more clients you have. And they'll refer people once they're satisfied. Is there anybody else you know? Then you go back and hit up the 98 people again. 2 more people of them will buy, and you hit up a few new people. Make a list, keep a list of all the people. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but that's what I did with yoga studios. You could do it with websites. Everybody needs websites. And maybe you've done the math where it's like, yeah, but if I drive at peak hours, that makes enough money, and that's better than doing the website prospecting. Good, you got to do both. You got to, I don't know, cut something else out. I wish I played guitar still at the professional level. I was at a professional level. I could have performed. I had 11 guitars. I had an electric guitar, huge amp, lots of electric guitars, looping pedal. I was doing all that stuff. I used to grow weed because I didn't want to buy weed because I didn't know where it came from. And I was like, man, I'm a PhD. I don't want to be like all illegal with that stuff. So I went really illegal growing weed, but at least I cut myself off. I was very antisocial at the time. You give that up. I just sell the equipment, right? I used to wrestle. I gave that up. That was in bad blood. I gave that up. I walked away from engineering. I've walked away from different things. What I haven't walked away from is yoga practice. And, there's a lot of times I'd love to go and socially interact or whatever, but making money, right? Establishing things. I want to visit my parents. And I'm almost at that place where it's just like, man, I think everything's about to be on that like engine where it's like moving. But I'm 35 and I've been working at it for a long time. And you're ahead of me for a 25-year-old, I believe. You're ahead of me where I was at 25 in some aspects. Obviously, I had so much education to lean on and skills with computers and whatever. In my way, you have skills with computers. But I think in this evolution and understanding, the only thing that's holding you back is coming here in person. And the thing about web design is you could do it anywhere. So, think about that. And let's see. Is there anybody I didn't talk to? I think that pretty much covers it. If you're catching this recording, go to imcbase1.com, sign up for the gathering. Do all the programs I've pitched already. And I'll see you guys in the next salute.